It's been a very tense morning of Test cricket here, with Australia losing a wicket when Matthew Hayden faced his very first ball, second over of the day, and drove a delivery from Hoggard straight to Strauss, who was positioned strategically close in on the offside at cover, short cover. Had obviously done some homework on Hayden, and he fell straight into the stroke, and a catch was gleefully accepted by Strauss. Hayden out for a primary, and then the Australian innings was looking to be well structured around Ponting and Langer until Ponting aimed a sweep at one from Giles that pitched in the rough and bounced, and he top-edged it straight to Vaughan out for 61. Langer had copped one on the helmet, one on the solar plexus, a few on the fingers. And he's a great competitor, and he was getting through to lunch when, from the penultimate ball, Martin played towards mid-on, went for a single. May have thought Vaughan was going to try and pounce on Langer, and he underarmed his throw at the bowler's end, and Martin was just a little sluggish in making his ground, and didn't, as the throw hit, and the third umpire, Jeremy Lloyds, made the adjudication that Martin was short of his ground. So it seemed a wasted wicket from Australia's viewpoint. A very joyful result for England prior to the lunch break. Vaughan's direct hit running Martin out for 20. So Langer's still there on 27. He's been joined by Michael Clarke. 3 for 118, Mike Selvey, and England have got every reason to be cheerful about the situation of the game here.
Well, that last wicket before lunch just tipped it, didn't it? I thought that was an even session up until then. 2 wickets. You just said 2 wickets before lunch was a good performance. 118 runs was more than they might have expected to give away.
Now Flintoff bowls a bouncer at Langer. That was the last ball of that over at Martin before lunch, and that is a fiery welcome for Langer after lunch, rather like the welcome he received from Steve Harmison at the start of the day. Flintoff's bowled some useful deliveries in this spell. 6 overs with a maiden, none for 20 behind Harmison, none for 35 from 7. Hoggard 4 overs, 1 for 26. Jones 3 overs for 13, and Giles 5 overs, 1 for 20 has done a good job, with Simon Jones coming up for the second over after lunch.
Yeah, he's got to get his pacemen on him again straight out. There was a good performance from Ashley Giles, though. I thought he, he does know this ground, knows how to bowl. He's comfortable here, and that sort of thing does make a difference to a bowler. It helps him relax. And that wicket was a big wicket for him, not just a big wicket for England, but a big wicket for Ashley Giles, because you've been only too aware of the talk about what they were going to do to Ashley Giles, and he wasn't going to get a wicket, and they were going to milk him, and they were going to do this, that, and he's got actually he's now the Australian captain, so good for Ashley Giles.
So Australia with quite a bit of work to do. They've been playing from behind in many ways since McGrath pulled out. Jones bowls, and it's defended by Clarke, across and forward, pushing firmly towards Vaughan down there at mid-off. And of course Ponting sending England in, and that extraordinary day of exhilarating batting. 54 fours and 10 sixes. England going at 5 and over to wallop 407, with Warne taking 4 and Kaspervich 3 wickets. And now some goodish spells from all of the England bowlers. Jones started well, but then conceded 3 boundaries to Ponting's strong play. He bowls a short ball now at Clarke, who clips it away down behind point. It's very fast out there. Peterson chases it towards the line at backward point, and Clarke is off the mark with a couple, and the score is 120. So Australia is ever looking for a lengthy partnership somewhere down the order, and the effort with Ponting looked very promising. 88 added, and then another 30 with Martin, and now Clarke out there. 2 slips gully, point cover, mid-off, mid-on, a man in front of square and a long leg. Jones here at the pavilion end, a bit of cloud around the place, and goes up and bowls at Clarke. Clarke comes forward, well forward, watching the ball intently near the line of the off stump, and that dismissal leg before in the first innings at Worcester may have a little bit to do with the way he is moving towards the ball. He was caught a little tentative on the crease, trapped leg before there, and he's making a very definite movement at the ball here.
That was a big one. I was thinking that he's gone well into that one, hasn't he? I didn't see the game at Worcester, but he was caught in the crease, was he?
Yes, leg before in the first innings, then opened in the second and hit the ball beautifully. Jones bowls, and he's forward. He's beaten outside the off stump and appealed for a catch behind, not out. Well, Jones wasn't as enthusiastic as those behind the stumps. They must have heard something. Maybe his bat shaved his pad as he pushed down the line. It was a very useful delivery. And looking at the replay, maybe just missed the edge of the bat, but behind the stumps, they heard something, and up they went.
Well, it was very close to the edge of the bat. He certainly didn't hit anything else. Great seam position that was. We've seen the replay. That held up all the way through to the keeper. Actually, that's probably an indication that it didn't feather it, actually, if the seam was still upright when it got to the keeper.
And the keeper didn't go up.
That's unusual in itself too, isn't it?
Jones goes in and bowls to Clark. Clark is forward, looking to drive, and he hits it down the ground for 4. Just past the outstretched left hand of Jones. He hit that hard into the pitch, and it galloped away down the ground. That was a convincing stroke as Jones got a little fuller at the off stump, and Clark hit it straight into the turf, and once it bounced a second time, it sped off to the boundary. Clark 6, 3 for 124.
Give that the full face, and that's a good way to play, especially early on. Got all the width of the bat, might as well use it.
Reminiscent of Ponting's glorious straight drives from Jones an hour or so ago. But it's Jones again, and Clark forward, takes it off his pads. That's another good stroke, and it's flying across the square and out to the boundary at deep mid-wicket. Give that one up. It's 4, 1 for the ball boy. Good timing. And again, Jones just got in near the line of Midland leg, and he was picked off. So an over that almost produced a wicket, with one that went past the outside edges, ended with a couple of boundaries, plus 2 behind point. 10 from the over. He's gone from 2 overs, 2 maidens, 0 for 0, to 4 overs, 2 maidens, none for 23.
Once it goes past this outfield is so quick, and yet even standing on it yesterday morning, it felt really soft. The grass doesn't look to have been that close cut, and yet he's racing over it.
Well, they cut it every day here? Every session or something. They must roll it as well. It is so quick, and Australia have enjoyed the benefit of that. And how many 4s? It was just under 70% of England's runs in boundaries yesterday. And Australia
20 we've had today.
So that's 80 of the 128 in boundaries. No 6s though.
No, there's plenty of time for that though, isn't there?
Well, there is. I don't think you're going to see too many from Langer. He's been under the codge here a bit. He's copped one that smacked him straight on the helmet. Another hit him amidships. A couple on the fingers, and it's his nemesis down there, Harmison, who's got the ball. He runs in from the city end. He bowls a ball that's trying to push away. It just stopped on him a bit. And again, I think he's been taken on the fingers of that left hand as he was looking to turn the ball away. And it just got a little bit of height off the pitch. 3 for 128. Australia working hard to make sure that their game doesn't fall away here. England's 407's looking fairly formidable just at the moment, and they're playing with a lot of spirit out there, trying to chip away at this Australian batting. Harmison bowls, forward goes Langer, steers it out behind point with an open face to Giles, who's one of 2 gully fieldsmen. 2 slips, 2 gullies, a cover point, big gap to mid-off, a mid-on, a square leg and a long leg. So Hayden made 0, Ponting 61 and Martin 20. And Justin Langer full of concentration here, applying himself. His scoring rate very much against the grain of the flow in the game as he drives square of the wicket on the offside from Harmison, and he finds Peterson out there and he can't score. He's the anchor man though, Justin Langer, and he's trying to get himself restarted here. Played a couple of good drives, didn't go after Giles, tried to biff him over mid-wicket, put a man back. But a couple of times he was beaten by the straight ball outside the off stump, and now Harmison and Vaughan have decided that Bell should go to deep backward square. Harmison bowls and Langer's forward, and he's driving again, not quite middling it, and it went to Peterson out there in the covers.
I suppose one of the things, of course, about playing the sheet anchor hanging in as he is, it is possible, I guess, on a pitch like this to lose your timing. There's 3 or 4 goes there at balls which you think yesterday Trescothick or you think Ponting today would have dispatched. They would have been timed away. They would probably gone for 4.
Harmison moves away again past umpire Bowden. He bowls and Langer is shuffling across and getting a well-judged single. Just knocked it to the onside and trotted off as Hoggard came around to collect. So Langer to 28. He's faced a lot of balls too in making those runs. How many has he been out there for?
Clickety-click.
66. So there, so that's well below par for the scoring rate we've seen so far in the game. Yesterday, Flintoff made 68 from just 62 balls. Trescothick was going at a merry old clip. Well, they all were, of course. And now for Clark, there are 2 men on the boundary on the onside. There's a first, second and fourth slip, a deepish gully, almost backward point, a cover and a mid-off with mid-on and 2 men out behind square. Clark is 10, and it's Harmison who runs towards him. Clark takes it away to the onside, off the pad more than likely, for a single down towards Jones. As a wild throw comes back, and Billy Bowden raises his leg. And that's 3 for 129, because he was indicating a leg by. 28 to Langer and 10 to Clark at the end of the over. 2 overs and 2 balls since lunch, and Australia have added 12 runs.
Michael Clark very deliberately counting the fielders out there before had to stop Steve Harmison in his run, make sure they're all there, as if he suspected they'd slipped an extra 1 or 2 on the field there, just to make sure where they were. But batsmen do that, don't they? They have this awareness of where fields. They like to know where the fielders are. It's the top batsmen can do that, and there's spatial awareness, and they instinctively are able to direct the ball away from them.
Gary Pratt, the sub from Durham, is out there behind point, and it's Clark who waits for Jones, and Jones has him driving fluently wide of mid-off. He goes with the stroke, and Vaughan has a ping again, and this time he misses. It was a good throw just prior to lunch that ran Martin out. There he had more of a side of the stumps, but he had to run around the ball to his left, and in any case Clark was on the move and got there. 3 for 131. And Clark has moved to 11. So it's Langer doing a Hayden down there at the moment, just going down on his haunches, stretching and practicing, looking at the pitch, getting his mind going for another concentrated effort here to glue this innings together. So I don't think we're going to see the pyrotechnics of yesterday, not for the time being anyway. It's Langer waiting. Here comes Jones to bowl to him, and Langer's driving beautifully through the covers. No, that was a sweet stroke. He was on the front foot, he liked the width, and measured the ball off very decisively on the drive to the cover boundary. So he's moved to 32 and the score to 135.
Well, I think if you'd have asked a punchy little left-hander to have the what sort of delivery he'd like to get his score moving again, it'd be that one, wouldn't it? Just enough width on it to throw his arms through it, just the right length, hit it slightly on the rise, longish half volley, and 4 easy runs for him, he'd say.
Jones again goes up at Langer. Langer chases the ball and cuts it hard, and it's well stopped by Giles. Throws back, misses the stumps, and it's backed up out there on the onside. That's who's that? Strauss in the gully, is it? And Giles out at mid-wicket this time. I think it was Strauss picking that up.
I think it's Peterson who's off, isn't it?
Yes, Peterson is off the field. Strauss is down deep in the gully. He was the left-hander, and Giles, who's normally in that position, was the one who backed up out at mid-wicket. And now the young Pratt goes out to deep cover. 3 for 135. And it's Jones going in to bowl to Langer, and Langer is pushing away down the offside. Something had to happen, didn't it, with that name? I haven't fallen into the obvious one, so I'll leave that to others. But 3 for 135. Apparently he has a brother who plays at Durham.
Yes, there are 2 Bretts at Durham.
Are there? Well, we've covered that then. The poor fellow gets some stick. Oh. Don't know. Has he considered a change? That
It used to be Tom, he changed it to Gary.
right. Thank you for that. Slip and a gully and a backward point, and a Langer forward pushing away down towards mid-off. 3 for 135 here. Langer's made 32.
I kind of heard, I think, a bit of conversation you may have been having with Henry before lunch about substitute fielders, you know, and I cannot understand why Gary Pratt is our substitute fielder. Why is Paul Collingwood not our substitute fielder? Why do you not have, as your substitute fielder, the best fielder you can possibly get?
Here's Jones to bowl, and Langer defends a ball that may have just taken him high on the pad as he pushed it away on the offside at 3 for 135. Well, it's long been the policy in Australia that the 12th man is the 12th man. It's Lee, it's Bickle, whoever it's been, or at least it's someone who has got the status of a Test match player.
Well, I don't even think it should be that. I think why, you pick your squad of players. Why do you not then select also the best possible fielder that you can have as your reserve fielder? Well,
allegedly you're letting the fella go to play in a match. Is that the case?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's relevant, really. I think you this is your England team. This is your national team. And those little things can make. We saw that run out Michael Vaughan's there. The little things that can make a difference. And if it's the difference between having, no disparagement to Gary Pratt, might be a very good fielder, but I bet he's not as good as Paul Collingwood.
Where is Collingwood at the moment? Is he playing in a match?
He was here. He was here on Tuesday, wasn't he?
They could have kept him here, exactly. Harmison bowls to Clark. Clark pulls a short ball away. Hits it for 4. Contemptuously, really. That was a little short, and he just went back. And out there on the line, Ashley Giles at the boundary. He moved slightly to his left and then realised, what's the point? That's going for 4. That did sit up. And Clark had oodles of time to rock back and pull it down in front of square for 4. He moves to 15. 3 for 139 Australia.
15 off 9 balls.
Well, this might be the tonic for the afternoon if he gets underway. Harmison bowls short, and he's back, and he's cross again. Plenty of time. The ball hit the pitch, and he went back and watched it arrive. It didn't whack into his bat as it had into Langer's helmet earlier in the day when the ball was brand new. Now it's in its 29th over, and Clark appeared to have so much time. Now maybe Harmison's got something in mind here. A bit of extra pace near the off stump to try and get the nick. Here he comes. He bowls to Clark. Clark back, and he turns the ball through the onside past Rudy Kurtzen, who could have fielded it but left it to Giles at deep square. 16 to Clark. 3 for 140 at the moment, and Australia just settling in after lunch here, and Harmison trying to stir things up, but not much in the pitch to assist him.
No, it's 28 overs. It's pretty battered 28 overs too, around about 5 and over. So I think the ball will probably be reasonably soft already. And all the batsmen in the game seem to have had no trouble when perched on the back foot to anything short. It really has come off straight. They've all been able to whip it away leg side or pull.
Harmison's bowling, and Langer is leaving. Good judgment there, just across him outside the off stump. He's just setting himself here to play a long, vigilant innings, and he's taking a great deal of care so far about which deliveries to play. And you often wonder how much a batsman's concentration is, how much his resolve is tightened by a couple of balls that have whacked him on the body. Grits his teeth and watches. Harmison has him forward. It's taking the pad. An appeal for LBW. Looked to be hitting him outside the line. It wasn't a concerted shout, and Billy Bowden quickly shook his head. But England know that they must try and get a break here before these batsmen get in. useful delivery. It was probably a little high and outside the line.
Yes, it's come back at him a fraction, hasn't it? It's pitched on the line, probably missing off stump. Didn't quite do enough, I don't think.
Harmison moves up strongly at Langer. Langer goes back, knocks it around the corner. Away he goes for one, and that's all he'll be taking with Bell on the rush from deep backward square to toss back. And it's 3 for 141 at the completion of Harmison's over. Langer 33, Clark 16. Harmison 9 overs with a maiden, none for 42. Hayden out for a primary, Ponting 61 and Martin 20.
He's looking like a fellow who's actually rather enjoying what he's doing, isn't he? He's enjoying the contest, Justin Langer. There's lots of smiles going on. I think he's appreciating the effort that's coming at him too. It's a genuine contest. He's done well to survive that too, as tribulations early on, and he did much the same at Lord's, didn't he? Got that fearsome barrage at the start of the match there.
It looked like he might get away at one point, but he got out on the short ball, and he is the classic warrior in a baggy green cap, Justin Langer. It's just 4 years ago that his career was turned around by that decision to replace Michael Slater at the Oval, and he's batted beautifully since then. And now he's getting a short ball from Jones, and he smacks it around the corner towards fine leg for a single. Harmison's down there, just rolling his wrist over the shorter ball, which had no real venom as it hit the pitch and rose gently towards Langer, who's 34, and it's 3 for 142.
I saw his debut actually at Adelaide
against Bishop
against the West Indies, in the one-run win.
He batted at number 3,
and he played very well too. And I mean, he came in really odd circumstances. My recollection is that Damien Martin sustained an eye injury in practice.
Got a finger in his eye.
No.
Like that,
Bobby Simpson, who's the coach then, I think, deflected a ball straight into his eye, and there was some doubt at that stage as to whether he might not lose the sight of his eye. It was a rather really nasty injury, straight in the eyeball.
Another unusual one as Simon Jones bowls outside the off stump at Clark, who's leaving it alone.
Well, that was Damien Martin's career in his infancy then, of course, and Justin Langer, my recollection is that had been at home in Perth at a barbie or something, and got the summons and got the next flight over, and the next day was out there batting against the West Indies.
And thrown in at number 3, got a half century.
Yes, he did, and that was a gritty, gutsy display of batting, because they were a mighty side there, and of course went on to absolutely steamroller them in Perth.
In comes Jones, just wide of the off stump. It's allowed to pass. In fact, I think Langer ended up opening in that game in Perth where Ambrose took 7 for 1. I think they dropped Taylor, didn't they?
Yeah, that I can't quite remember, but again, I saw. In fact, I was thinking about that the other day, because the only spell of bowling that I could recollect that reminded me of McGrath's spell, new ball spell at Lord's, was that 7 for 1 spell of Ambrose. This sort of inevitability about unerring inevitability of wicket taking.
Jones is bowling and Clark's leaving a ball, watching it carefully outside the off stump at 3 for 142.
There was nothing fancy in it. The ball didn't loop the loop. It didn't seam around. It just relentless probing on a length. It bounced. They nicked it, and people caught it. And I can even remember the single run. Damien Martin got a little inside edge onto his pad, and it dribbled past Desmond Haynes at short leg. And that was the one run in the 7 for 1 spell.
This is all over before lunch on the third day. Jones pitches up wide outside the off stump, and Clark's having none of that. He's trying to keep his concentration going here as Australia settle in. Ambrose, where would he rank in your list of pace bowlers? Is he top of the tree?
I couldn't put him top of the tree, but I mean he's my goodness me, he's of his type. He was unmatched, wasn't he? He was different to a lot of the West Indies. I mean, he was relentless, line length relentless, and hostility with it.
A mean bowler. In goes Jones, pitching up, and it's pushed away towards cover mid-off, and Vaughan's there to field. And that's the completion of the over. 3 for 142. There's some cloud around, but no rain at the moment. Clark 16, Langer 34, and Jones 6 overs, 2 maidens. That was more like it. Just one from that. None for 29. I'll leave it with you. Mike Selby, the comment, and Jonathan Agnew coming in.
Gave nothing away, Curtly Hemrose, did he? Just probing. He was length at line at great pace. Number of times we've seen England batsmen struggle so hard against him, not just because his hostility, but because he gave them nothing. They couldn't get him away. Games that England played against West Indies, where it always seemed to come down, when chips were down, it came down to Courtney Walsh and Curtly Ambrose doing all the bowling for them.
So 142 for 3. Bill's not making me laugh. Here comes Harmison, and that's Langer pushing away into the offside. Pratt comes in and almost, well, he was tempted there to shy at the stumps, and decided not to. In the end, probably a sensible decision, because he might have given away an overthrow, and I think Clark was in his ground anyway. He's so fast, and it is comfortably in. So 143 for 3. A fascinating afternoon here on the boil, I would say. Langer 35, Clark 16. Can England continue to nibble away through this Australian batting lineup? Will Gilchrist, for example, have a say this afternoon? We shall see. Clark's on 16. He's got there pretty quickly. And in comes Harmison, steaming in. He bowls it short, and Clark stands up, plays down again to Pratt there at backward point. And there's no run. 3 slips in place. Flintoff with a sweater on. It's that sort of afternoon, really. I must admit, when our commentary box door opens, you get a rush of cold air through. But I suspect you're sitting in the sun out there. It's probably rather pleasant, as long as your back is to the breeze, which is coming from left to right across the ground. But the sun is out, and Harmison turns there in the distance, and soon into those big long strides. He's there, he bowls, runs here for Clark, or certainly one anyway, as he plays that way off his hip to Ashley Giles, who's fielding on the boundary at deep square leg. One more to Australia, 144 for 3. And Mike Selby, you've got an apology to make to Philippa Tarbox, haven't you?
Have I?
Yes, you have.
No, I haven't. She very kindly sent us all some...
No,
did she not?
She sent me some very nice Thornton's chocolates. Philippa, thank you so much. You do it every year, and you're an absolute star. Unfortunately, I arrived this morning and found the contents of most of them had already been eaten. In comes Harmison, and Langer lets that go outside the off stump. There's an unwritten rule in this commentary box that when people are kind enough to send in
you share them,
tokens of their appreciation.
We've all got a Jonathan in our name now.
I don't understand what you're talking about. It was addressed to me and Henry.
But the person they are addressed to shall at least open them up and possibly take first sample.
No, security had opened them.
We knew you were under pressure.
The envelope had been doctored to Jonathan Agnew, comma, and then added in different writing, Selv and Jeff Lawson. And these lovely fruit jellies have been eaten. In comes Harmison, and Langer gets an inside edge there, snatches his head around to see where the ball had gone. It's running down to deep backward square leg. Bell comes into field, and they take 1 run, 145 for 3. So Philippa, thank you. There's not much left of them, but I'm sure they were very nice.
The quality control, you've got to,
Well, I arrived a bit late this morning. Perhaps it was my fault. Anyway, lovely card of good old Dunton Bassett there in South Leicestershire. 145 for 3. Down go the slips. Harmison comes in and bowls on the off stump. Clark goes back and across, defends, and that's fielded by Bell with his cap on, that extra cover. And there's no run. So Hayden out for 0, Ponting 61, Martin on the stroke of lunch for 20. And there's Katic due in next, and then of course Gilchrist, and we all remember that remarkable innings of Gilchrist here last time around. Little blow of a kiss from Rachel Hayhoe Flint. That's always rather nice. She's sitting down in front of us here. Through the glass, I hasten to add. It wasn't actual direct contact as such. 145 for 3. Langer looks around the ground.
How would you describe the temperature? The cricketers always describe temperature in terms of sweaters, don't they? So 1 sweat a day or 2 sweat a day.
Well, do you know, I think it may be different in the commentary box to out there today. And I think in the commentary box it's probably a 2 sweat a day. and out there it might only be one.
It's hard to tell, isn't it? Fred's probably he's got his long sleeve sweater on, hasn't he? There's a lot of sleeveless sweaters out there. Truscothic's not got any sweater on at all, but I suspect he's got a t-shirt on under his shirt. So.
It's chilly in here. In goes Jones. Oh, a wide full toss. And it is signalled a wide too. And that just came from nowhere, really. I think it's completely lost it. And Geraint Jones at least stopped it in front of Truscothic there. And another one goes to the score. 146 for 3. That's rather like the Jones of old. Not the new controlled model. That one just came flying out. And, well, it missed the cut part of the pitch altogether.
Was he trying something different there? I mean, I don't just mean the wide full toss.
Possibly, but I can't think what if he was. In goes Jones, and Langer goes back, forces this rather a flowery stroke out to Pratt, who's on the deep point boundary. Away to our right there, very dark-haired Pratt, and he sends the ball in to Jones, and one run is taken. 147 for 3. Pratt is on the field for Peterson. I don't think we've had an update on why Peterson might be off, but
the hair gel probably, or
you think that's highlights being redone?
Yeah.
In my experience of my wife, that is, it usually takes quite a long time, and involves rather a lot of money as well. 147 for 3. In goes Jones over the wicket, and that's a tempting one for Clark, wide of the off stump, but lets that go through to Jones.
Well, Surrey had two brothers Pratt. In fact, they both played with Banstead where I played. Ron and Derek Pratt. Ron was a very good player, but he only got in the Surrey side of the 50s when Peter May was on test duty.
There's a Pratt that played for Leicestershire too in the 60s.
And one that played for Yorkshire was a very useful fast bowler. Well, no, that was Platt.
Oh, that's close. 147 for 3. In goes Jones, and that's sliced away by Clark. The pace taken off it by Flintoff in the gully, and so no run taken in the end. But, it was quite an adventurous shot, and that was Strauss who completed the fielding at Cower Point. 147 for 3. And Clark remains on 17. Lovely player, exciting player to watch. He's wearing his sweater out there. His Aussie sweater. Settles down again, much hilarity behind us, I'm not sure what about. In goes Jones, and Clark forward, plays carefully up to extra cover. Bell fields, and there's no run.
It's that short extra cover actually again, isn't it? The position in which Kevin Peterson dropped him quite early on in his innings. He was about 20, hadn't he, I think, at Lord's. So they obviously think that he's got a tendency perhaps to just lean back a little bit on the drive and hits the ball aerial. He's on the back foot then, wasn't he, though?
Yes, he was. He said he goes for his shots, doesn't he? He's looking round the corner, he sees Pratt down there at deep square leg. Maybe there's going to be a bouncer on the way. It is short, and Clark goes back and plays it away to Strauss, who's at point. And there's no run. 147 for 3. Clark 17, Langer 37, and Langer, vastly experienced, of course, comes down and passes on a fatherly word perhaps to young Clark. I think what the Australians need to remember is that they're under no time pressure here at all, and I'm not suggesting they're in a hole at all, but they're from a position that they need to be just slightly careful. In goes Jones, and Clark allows a wide one to go by outside the off stump to complete Jones's 7th over. 7 overs, 2 maidens, no wicket for 31. Harmison has bowled very well today, 10 overs, no wicket for 45. Hoggard took the first wicket, 1 for 26 from 4 overs. Flintoff 6 overs, 1 maiden, no wicket for 20. And Giles 5 overs, 1 for 20. And I think we're losing Gary Pratt, which is a shame, because Kevin Peterson is coming onto the field. No, Pratt remains. And so someone else is going off, which we'll have to try and look at in a minute. But he's an eager young chap, is Pratt, and he's running around there at mid-on. I saw Trevor Penny in his whites here as well, because there's been some sort of injury apparently amongst all the 12th men. In comes Harmison and bowls to Langer, who drives. It's a good shot up towards straight mid off it goes, and they'll have 1 run there as Michael Vaughan rolls over and over, preventing the 4 but not the single. 148 for 3. Trevor Penny, of course, a vastly experienced old boy here now, really, at Warwickshire. Brilliant fielder.
Yeah.
But he had been called on to do 12th man duties here, which is not entirely befitting a man of his stature on the county circuit. He was a bit surprised, but there's been some sort of injury crisis amongst the 12th men, I think. In comes Harmison, and this is pushed away off the front foot.
Must be
by Clark.
Graham Swan then must be injured.
Yes. He was another substitute, wasn't he? It's coming to something when the 12th man breaks down.
You probably missed the conversation a little earlier, but I actually, I'll risk of repeating myself, I don't see why England do not have here their best possible available fielder, i.e. Paul Collingwood.
Harmison bowls all outside the off stump. That wasn't far away. Clark let it go through, but there's lots of oohs and ahs out there, and he's coming up now and tapping away at the pitch. That one did come seaming back. Well, I suppose they want him to bat, don't they? And get some runs and keep.
Yeah, but you're talking about the very small percentage points that can make a difference between success and failure in this game, and I just think you owe it to your side if you're being totally and utterly professional about the whole thing. Everything else seems to be catered for. Very little left to chance.
Harmison comes in again, and Clark whips that away from right about middle stump, I'd say, down to deep backward square leg. Giles on the move down there, throws the ball in quickly. Good return too from Ashley, who seems far happier now he's taken that wicket. He's running round, not exactly with a spring in his step, but looking much more cheerful. 149 for 3. Clark goes to 18 with that single. Langer on 38. He's been batting now for 2.5 hours for that. And he received a horrible blow on the head first thing today. He's had another one straight in the solar plexus that winded him. He's been battling away. And now as the sun comes out again, Harmison comes in and bowls to him. It's short. He pulls that down to fine leg. Jones is fielding here, just to our right, the shaven-headed Jones. And one more run is taken by Australia to bring up the 150. 150 for 3. In only 32 overs, so again, it's a very healthy run rate. They've taken just 64 balls to reach that third 50. And the field changes round again for the right-handed Clark. Harmison rushes up and bowls to him as forward, playing up to mid-off. There's no run. The over ends 150 for 3 with Clark on 18, Langer 39. Did you hear that chat with Graham Thorpe and Natalie?
Yes.
Terrific, especially the admission from Graham that he'd fainted when his wife gave birth. His partner gave birth the other day. That was very entertaining.
He sounds a happy chappy, doesn't he?
He does, actually.
And I'm really pleased for him.
Yeah.
Really pleased.
A contented man.
Yeah, I think that's right. He's every right to be contented, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's served England fantastically well.
It was Hoggard who was off the field, so
He's back.
So has Pratt left us?
GP is gone.
Oh dear. Well, he may well return at some stage. Peterson's back on the field, and so too is Hoggard. So England back at their starting 11, so to speak. 1 or 2 Australians I see in their gold shirts and caps take their seats again, either after lunch or possibly refuelling at the bar. So they're settling down now as Jones runs away and bowls to Langer. It's wide outside the off stump, and Langer has nothing to do with that. He's jumping up and down there in the crease, rather like a boxer preparing for the first round in his corner. And Clark comes down and offers a word. Langer has a very unusual feature about his bat. In fact, it's so unusual, I've just noticed that Clark has exactly the same thing, which is a white rubber, which you don't see many of, do you? A white batting rubber.
There was a time where you were like Henry Ford's cars. You could have any colour you liked as long as it was black.
Yes. There's Jones, and that's wide outside the off stump, cut firmly by Langer. There's a man out there on the offside boundary, Peterson, and he keeps him down to a single. 151 for 3. They became rather a sort of a fashion setting or statement for a batsman, didn't they? For yellow ones, and I think it's David Gower who went down the fashion route.
They had a blue.
He had yellow.
Blue, and Robin Smith, I remember, had a yellow.
And David also, of course, went for fashionable socks.
Yes.
He went through a phase of yellow socks, orange socks, under your white trousers, and blue socks, which were unusual. But I've noticed Langer's rubber there, but I didn't see that Clark also had a white one. 151 for 3. Jones goes in and bowls to Clark, who pulls that away for 4. It was a pretty poor ball, a long hop outside the off stump, and he's dragged it away through wide mid-on. And he looks rather ruefully at his bat, as if maybe it came off an edge, or he's a little bit worried about having cracked it or something, but he's now tucked it under his arm. I think he's happy enough, but it certainly didn't come off the middle of the bat.
Disappointing bowling this. I expected a little bit more from Simon Jones on this pitch. I thought he'd be a key bowler for England. The length that he can bowl and a little bit of movement so he can get away from the bat.
Well, he's on his way, and he bowls, and Clark allows a better ball to go by outside the off stump. Geraint Jones rolls over and over and over to his left to take the ball. And there's no run. 155 for 3 on a steadily improving afternoon, I think we'll describe it. It was pretty miserable first thing, a lot of rain in the night over in the Beaver, so not too far from here. But I thought there might even be a delayed start today, but after a rather damp and dismal start, it's now slowly brightening, which is very good news. Lots of blue sky around as Jones runs in and bowls on the off stump, and Clark drives. It's made a very pleasant sound in the headphones, that, but he gets nothing for it as Vaughan fields quite deep there at mid-off. 155 for 3. Clark remains on 22. Hayden was out for 0. First ball, the first ball of his Test career. And I think that's worthy of a note, Bill. You've only put miscued drive to short extra cover there. I think a man of his experience finally gets a golden duck, if he's a little mark, doesn't he? Ponting 61, Martin 20. He was run out on the stroke of lunch. And now it's Jones bowling outside the off stump, and Clark thrusts left foot towards the ball, then takes the bat out of the way, and over is called, and Clark wants something. He's waving towards the dressing rooms. Then out of courtesy, he asks Michael Vaughan permission for whatever is about to be brought out to him. It's always a thing that batsmen should do, shouldn't they? Courtesy. So I've got something coming out, or I'm just going to hold things up for a moment, and it's nice to see that old tradition is maintained. Not sure what he's having done, but it's Tate, the fast bowler, who, if McGrath is ruled out of much of the series, we could see in action sometime during the series. He's done something there, brought something out to Clark. Got some pace. Has Tate, have you seen him, Bob?
No, I saw his figures for Durham when he went there, but
they weren't pretty.
They do say he's got a bit on him.
Very unusual action in that he's got a sort of rocking catapult type action, almost like Tomo, but without the sort of the sweep back of the arm. But it's a definite. He always looks at his arm as it goes over, and like a sort of a hurling action. If you like. He's quick. He is quick.
Well, Ashley's going to have a go from the city end. Bowled very tidily, very neatly from the pavilion end before lunch, and picked up that wicket of Ricky Ponting, much to his delight.
I don't think I've ever seen Ashley quite so animated as when he picked up that wicket, but of course he'd been told by the Australians he wouldn't be getting a single wicket in the series, so I suppose he had every right to be pleased. He's taken 1 for 20, and he's still sorting out his field here. What's he want? He wants Jones moving a bit down there at deep square, is it? I think it is. Geraint, his namesake, is waving at him. Yes, he's bringing a little bit squarer there. Lots of stewards behind him, I noticed there in the Hollies stand. In comes Giles, and Langer's hit on the pad. Catch it, shouts Ashley. No one does, and there's no run. 155 for 3. So a lot of stewards. I think they're on standby rather than anything else in there. There's sort of 2 categories of steward here at Edgbaston. You've got your green day glow jacket type, and then your orange one. Here's Giles, a sweep from Langer. He's in the pad. Umpire Bowden says not out. It's England and about 18,000 supporters all appeal. It's quite intimidating for an umpire to have that sort of noise directed at you. But,
so if he bowls from almost over the top of the stumps, he hasn't got to do anything with the ball, just bowl it wicket to wicket, and he can get LBW. And that was pitched outside the off stump, and he's got outside the line.
Giles pushes that through, and it's padded away by Langer. 155 for 3. It's one of those sort of kidology appeals, wasn't it? They're trying to make the batsman think he hasn't quite got outside the line of the off stump, or you can't keep padding me away. You often see Shane Warne doing that.
But if they are sweeping him, you see, it's perfectly easy for him as a slow bowler to step right into the stumps and literally bowl it wicket to wicket.
2 men around the bat, a slip and a short leg. Down they go. Giles bowls to Langer, who comes skipping down the pitch, pushes that into the offside for a single. Clark responds immediately. And Australia move to 156 for 3. And again, the field changes over for the right-handed Clark. And it's the best part of the day now. It's lovely. Sun beating down. The outfield a little greener for that overnight rain. The meticulous dark and light stripes that we all strive for on our lawns look in pretty good order here.
It's pristine, isn't it? Not a mole in sight.
I've got rid of mine.
Have you got rid of them?
Yeah. Phone call to a former gamekeeper from Loughborough. Not sure what he did, but I haven't got any left. Leave them to me, he said. And that was it. I think he just scared them away. I don't think he did anything more than that, but not a molehill to report over the last month. Deathly quiet. 156 for 3. And Giles tweaks at his shirt. Up he comes, over the wicket. What's Clark going to do? Well, he's forward here, hit on the pad. And rolls up for Bell, who's fielding in the offside there. It's a couple of yards away from the bat with a helmet on. Picks the ball up. And there's no run. 156 for 3. Might have touched the glove there, actually, having seen a replay. There's Giles again, wearing his sunglasses. That's pushed through flat. It's Clark on the pad. The over ends. I'm going to sample what remains of Philippa Tarbox's wares. Thank you, Michael. And after a word from you, Henry Blofeld's coming in.
Yes, enjoy, I guess. Good tidy over from Ashley Giles. The wind not in his favour. It was in his favour bowling from the pavilion and bowling going left to right. A little bit of in-drift for him. Playing the ball away from the right-hander from the city end. Important that Ashley Giles can do the job that he does, or has done so well for England over the past few years. He's the governing factor. He's the one who can throttle it back for England. He's the one who can hold an end up while the pace bowlers go at the other.
Well, Aggers has been making mountains out of both molehills and chocolates, hasn't he? And I think he's digging into the chocolates even as I speak. Here's Jones. He's running into bowl to Langer. He's up there. He bowls. Langer pulls. And he hit that very well indeed. And it's gone for 4. Giles out there. Couldn't see. He didn't pick that one up. And it went away to his right for 4. So 45 now to Langer. It's 160 for 3. And we're in the 36th over. We've got a slip, a third man, backward, deep gully, backward point, cover on the boundary, short extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, deep square leg, and that's it. So 7-2 field. And here's Jones coming in now to Langer. He's up the wicket, he bowls, and Langer goes back, forces into the covers, and it's Bell there at short extra cover who fields on the bounce. 160 for 3. It's a nice afternoon now, a lot of blue sky. There was, before lunch, there was quite a bit of heavy cloud building up, and I'm glad to say that's disappeared. And that helicopter with a rather Australian sign on it is approaching from a northwesterly direction. I suppose it's got to come from somewhere, but there we are. And the crowd enjoying a day of tense, interesting, exciting cricket. Honours just about even. 160 for 3 Australia in reply to England's 407. And Jones is in now, bowls to Langer. And Langer plays that from the crease. It goes out about, 10 yards on the leg side. Jones goes after it, and they run a single. He was not playing it there. He was pushing out on the offside. It perhaps came back a fraction into him, took the inside edge, and the pad went out towards square leg. So 46 to Langer, 161 for 3. England at the moment badly needing another wicket. It was 118 for 3 at lunch, and these two, Clark and Langer, building up a bit of a partnership. 43 they've put on so far. And now Jones to the right-handed Clark. We've got a slip, third man, deep gully, backward point, short extra cover, and a mid-off. That's the offside. Here he is. He's up to the wicket now. He bowls. Clark comes forward to a ball outside the off stump. Plays no stroke. It was wide enough for him to leave alone, and through it went Jones, the keeper. 7-2 field again, so the right-hander as well as the left-hander. The two men out there. We've got Peterson out there at deep square leg, and Hoggard here at mid-on. They're the only two on the leg side. And Mike Selby departs, and a little bit reluctantly Henry Lawson takes his place. He's having sat down, he got up again. I thought he took one look at me, couldn't stand it, and was going to be off. But
not at all.
He's come back again. Thank goodness for that. Jones is in, bows, and that's a flowing drive there from Clark, but then it was fielded at cover. Went very quickly across the ground, and there was not a chance, therefore, of any run.
No, Henry, I had to jump up quickly. I was disobeying one of the absolute etiquettes of the commentary box, of turning your phone off and having not rung for some time. As soon as I sat down, it rang, of course.
Well, I'm greatly in your debt. For a few minutes ago, it was Henry Lawson stopped me from sitting on a rather nasty upturned fork.
I didn't want bloodshed in the commentary box.
No, nothing like that. Here comes Jones now. He's in, he bowls, and Clark is forward driving, and that's a brilliant, good diving stop there or half stop by Bell. He probably saved 3 runs, but the ball went about 15 yards past him at short extra cover, and by the time Vaughan had tied it up, they had run a single. 162 for 3. 23 to Clark, 46 to Langer at the end of the over, and Australia fighting back and fighting back well.
As a lot of people come to expect, Australia are number one because they can get themselves out of problems, and a problem somewhat of their own making, particularly with the Martin run out right on the lunch break. Now that was a piece of suicidal cricket, but Michael Clark has got easily into stride. He seems to be batting with a fair bit of confidence. Played a missed one very early, almost edged it, but he seems to be carrying on when he left off at Lords.
Yes, he made rather a better start than he did at Lords, didn't he? He was, I thought, a little bit uncertain to begin with. Here's Giles in the city end, over the wicket, bowls to Clark. Clark comes forward, driving into the ground, and it's a spectator catch. That was the bum ball. Peterson took the catch at short extra cover, but it wasn't a catch, to the dismay of a large part of the crowd. We've got a slip, a silly point, and a short extra cover. They're the 3 aggressive attacking fielders. Giles tosses himself a catch from one hand to the other. In he comes now. He's up to the wicket. He bowls, and Clark's forward working his way behind square, and it's Flintoff coming in off the deep backward square leg boundary, who fields, returns to Jones, a low raking throw over the stumps, and everyone, general shuffle houses, they change round for the left-handed Justin Langer. 163 for 3, and that single has taken Michael Clark to 24. The men out: Hayden caught Strasbourg, Hoggard, naught. Ponting caught Vaughan, Giles, 61, and Martin run out on the point of lunch, as Henry was saying, for 20. And here is Giles once more. In, up to the wicket, bowls to Langer. Langer reaches for rather a wide one, drives it well. It's a chase for Flintoff, who's sprinting across towards it's actually rather less than a sprint. It's somewhere between a waddle and a sprint. I don't quite know what that would be. But that'd
be a sproddle.
A sproddle, good idea. It was never going to be more or less than 2 runs, so there was no great urgency for him anyway. So Langer goes to 48, too short of his 50. It's 165 for 3. The sun shines brightly down, and Giles comes in bowling in his sunglasses. He bowls now to Langer. Langer drives, and there's a sliding stop there by Harmison at mid-off. Giles couldn't quite drop a hand on it, and Harmison had to go straight towards the bowler stumps, threw himself over the ball and stopped it well. Giles in again, up to the wicket now. He's there, he bowls, and Langer's forward running this out a yard or 2 on the offside, and they scamper for a very well-judged single. This has been a feature of Australia's cricket today, although, of course, it's cost them a wicket before lunch, and it could easily have cost them Ponting before he had scored. So, although there's virtue in taking quick singles, there's not much virtue in taking badly judged quick singles. 166 for 3. Langer is now 49, but he's not in strike. Clark is going to face the next ball from Giles.
And that sort of bad judgment, we have seen a couple of examples today, does come because England are a much better fielding side, and in that 30-metre close fielding circle, they're fairly sharp.
And Giles bowls again, and Clark's down the wicket and plays defensively. Giles himself fields. And I would like to, before I come to you at the end of the over, 166-3, it gives me the greatest possible pleasure to welcome one of our oldest of friends, a former participant for many years at Test Match Special, Fred Truman, to the box. Fred, it's very good to see you. Welcome to TMS again. It's the first time you've been back.
No,
you've been one. Oh, he's been back 1 or 2 times. I'm talking to him off mic, which is a bit unfair. So we'll wire him for sound. Then we can hear him.
I've already had his company once today. I did see him. He had a glass of something in his hand. It wasn't binoculars.
No, it's a glass of water because I'm driving my car.
Quite right, Fred.
You came in the box.
I'm glad to see that you've maintained your steel-like discipline in these things.
No drink when you're driving.
No, dangerous, isn't it? But you're keeping well.
I'm fine, thank you, Henry. Yes, couldn't be better.
Good. And what about this now? England need it's an interesting contest, isn't it?
Well, yes, it's a very interesting contest, but I thought this morning that they bowled a bit short. I thought there was a bit there this morning, just to get it up there, move it around a little bit, and especially the start we got when Matthew had Hayden out, first ball he bowled.
Well, of course, it was the perfect start, wasn't it?
Oh, wonderful, yes.
Absolutely wonderful. And Langer needs 1 for his 50. He's taking a little bit of time doing some gardening, and now it's Hoggard who's come on at the pavilion end. He's coming in now to bowl to Langer. He's up to the wicket now he bowls. Langer comes forward and drives, and he's going to get his 50. It's a misfielding there by England's captain, who dived to his right, couldn't stop the ball. He took the pace off it, and Langer has gone through for 2 runs, so he's gone to 51. An invaluable knock that for Australia, very much out of character with the majority of the innings that have been played in this match, but he's held the innings together. 168 for 3 the score. Bill.
94 balls, 171 minutes, just 4 fours.
That's been an important innings for Australia, hasn't it, Henry?
That's almost normal cricket, isn't it? That's how batsmen used to make a half century, about that sort of time and balls.
And Hoggard it is. Up to the wicket now, bowls, and forward there comes Langer, and squirts that down off the face of an angle bat, down there to Harmison at third man, and they come through for a single, so 52 now to Langer, 169 for 3. Fred, were you here yesterday?
No, I wasn't yesterday. I was busy yesterday. I was signing some the new prints of the Yorkshire's 4 tops. Brian Close-Wheeling with myself and Geoffrey Boycott.
Oh, how lovely. Where were you doing that?
Ilkley Golf Club, actually.
Oh, right.
I signed 600 yesterday.
So,
what on the 15th green?
So you got writer's cramp today?
The index finger, the next one hurt a bit, yeah.
Hoggard it is now, in. He bowls to Clark. Clark drives expansively, 4 runs. That was a lovely stroke. It was a full half volley. He leant into it, and Michael Vaughan had no chance at mid-off of cutting that off. Another lovely 4, and goodness me, this Clark is looking a good player. He's 28, and it's 173 for 3. But the pace of yesterday's cricket was quite astonishing, Fred.
Well, yes, it was. I came in just before Andrew Flintoff got out. So I watched that, and young Peterson, beautiful striker of the ball, isn't he?
Well, you must tell us about what you think of him.
Well, I'll give it a...
Yeah.
Let's not rush headlong into it, but he looks very, very promising.
But how would you bowl to him? It seems to be a debate now amongst the Australians. How do we bowl to Kevin Peterson? To keep him quiet?
Well, I know where I would bowl to him, yes, but that's a bit different.
Well, here comes Hoggard now, in to bowl to Clark. He bowls outside the off stump, and Clark comes forward, plays no stroke, and through it goes there to Jones. 173 for 3. Will you let us into the secret, Fred? Where?
Well, the thing is, what I noticed a lot today, the 2 most successful fast bowlers in the last decade or more are Glenn McGrath, who I thought bowled beautifully at Lords.
Oh, fantastic.
He gave the England bowlers a free bowling lesson on the wicket that helped you. I thought he was brilliant. Glenn McGrath and Sean Pollock, and they, when you watch them,
brave off now. Hoggard's on his way in. He's up to the wicket now, bowls out to Clark. Clark comes forwards, hit on the front pad. I think there may have been a bit of inside edge as well. Hoggard goes down the wicket and picks up, and nothing is done.
What you notice, Henry, about Sean Pollock and Glenn McGrath is that they run up to bowl, and then they go in to the side of the stumps, and if you notice, they bowl wicket to wicket. You know, they're not bowling from wide of the crease or halfway across the crease, and they're two most successful fast bowlers, I think, in the last decade. And they do bowl wicket to wicket, and it's much easier to bowl straight from close to the stumps than it is from wide of them.
Well, absolutely. I mean, yes, that is a self-evident truth, but an awful lot of modern bowlers don't seem to appreciate it. Hogarth is in now, he bowls, and that Clark played that one, so it kept just a fraction low. He came forward and just bent at the knees slightly, pushing it down to mid-off to Vaughan, and then Clark waved vigorously towards the dressing room. He obviously wants something, new batting gloves or whatever. It's the end of the over, it's 173 for 3, 52 to Langer, and 28 to Clark.
Well, it's interesting what Fred says. I mean, they're the simple things of the game, aren't
That's
they?
right.
Really wicket to wicket, and we keep talking about McGrath's success in particular, 500 wickets, and how simple it is.
That's right.
You know, he's not a fast bowler. He's incredibly accurate. He hits the seam. He just does the fundamentals so well.
And he's tall, is Glenn, and he gets a little bit of bounce. Yeah, he's a very, very fine bowler. Don't let anybody mistake that. Well, he's in my book, of course. And then, of course, you've got Shane Warne. And let's face it, that 85% of the batsmen around the world don't know which way he's going.
Yeah.
That's why he's so successful. And I'm not taking away that he's a top-class, world-class bowler. Of course he is.
Yes, I mean, Peterson's been the only batsman to play him with any confidence.
Well, because he's a bit strong on the onside, is Kevin. And the other thing, you see, there's nobody can bowl at Kevin Peterson round about his middle leg and swing it away from him.
Because they don't get close enough to the stumps.
Giles starts new over, bowls to Langer. Langer sweeps. That's going down to Jones, a deep backward square leg, and they run a single. 53 to Langer, 174 for 3. Sorry to interrupt you, gentlemen.
No, it's quite all right. But the thing is that Kevin, God bless him, he strikes the ball beautifully. But he does tend to play across the line a lot. And I think if you could pitch the ball and move it away towards the slips, you've got a bit of a chance with him. That's where I'd be looking at him, but he's doing very well, God bless him, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, he's made a great start to his Test career. Giles in now, bowls to Clark. Clark drives down there to mid-off, and there is no run. Hogarth, the fielder, 174 for 3. Giles, and something's happened. Clark's walking a long way away from the wicket. This crash helmet off. I don't think it's serious. And after this ball, I want to ask Fred what he feels about Michael Vaughan and his lack of form at the moment. Giles is in, over the wicket, bowls. Forward comes Clark, and Bell goes across the pitch from Silly Point to field.
Well, I think that you learn to bat, Henry, out in the middle, not in the nets. You know, you can iron faults out in the nets to do that, but to get the proper concentration is to build innings, is to be out in the middle and play properly.
Well, that's absolutely right, isn't it? Basics again. Giles bowls. Clark is forward on the bounce there, straight into Bell's hands at Silly Point, and there is no run.
You know, when I was in the nets training in April, you Len Hutton, Frank Lowson, Norman Yardley's, Brian Closes, Willie Watson, all these world-class players.
Giles again up to the wicket, bowls now to Clark, takes pace down the wicket, drives, doesn't time it at all. Peterson fields at short extra cover.
And we would play against North Yorkshire South and Durham League on a Saturday afternoon, and that included the great Leonard. We'd play against Leeds University, Sheffield University.
And Giles once more over the wicket, bowls Clark, who goes back and cuts, and that was in the air. He slashed it very hard. It went past Trescothic's right ear. It went very quickly, and it would have hit Trescothic rather than he getting a hand to it. Anyway, 4 more runs, so Clark goes to 32. It's 178 for 3, and drinks are coming on. The drink intervals are always made memorable in this match by umpire Billy Bowden from New Zealand, who always goes running off into the pavilion.
He's not that old, is he?
Well, no, that's a very good point, Fred.
So we're going back to you can't spend enough time in the middle, you know. And I'm also appalled when I see that the batsman being hit in the nets. You know, when you bowl in the nets, your job as a bowler, and I'm sure Jeff did the same, was to find your line, get that right and everything, but pitch the ball up a little bit, let the batsman drive you, because they get their timing as well, because you're playing as a team, so you all want to be together. If I'd have bowled a bouncer in the nets at any of our players, I would have got a right telling off.
Yeah, I think that's certainly my experience too, of practicing at state level or at Australian level. Yeah, pitch it up and let the batsman feel that, and practice gets good length bowling, so you can get your feet moving, not running the ball bounces at people.
Yeah, you get your run up right.
Unless they ask for it specifically, that's a bit different.
You get your run up right, you get your balance right, you get your coordination, and at the same time you're getting the batsmen in, because if the batsmen don't put runs on the board, you've got nothing to bowl at. So, you're playing as a team and you're helping each other. No way that I would have attempted to bowl a bouncer at any of my teammates, either Yorkshire or England, and if I'd have done, I would tell you, I'd have been in trouble.
Oh, well, and Fred, what are you doing? Tell us what you're doing with yourself these days.
Oh,
writing a book or two?
No, I did a book which has gone tremendous as it was.
Well done.
And then at the present moment I'm doing a lot of dinners.
Well, you were in very good form when we spoke together at Spalding the other day.
Oh, I enjoyed that, yeah.
The Rotary Club. It was a good evening, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then on September the 7th, we're looking forward to seeing you when you do the luncheon.
Well, that's going to be great fun. I remember that evening you got into terrible trouble with those awful roadworks at Newark, didn't you?
Oh,
desperate. I did soon afterwards. I'd forgotten your message about them.
And they're still there, I think.
I think they are.
But
I think they've got a plaque now, a blue plaque saying Fred Trueman waited here. I'm going to let Jeff Lawson say one more remark, and then and say thank you also, Fred, very much for coming along and seeing us.
Thank you, Henry.
It's great to be with you. And Jonathan Agnew will take over from me.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Blows. It's great to see Fred here. Well, I'm quite honoured to be next to him, not just as a bowler, former bowlers, but as a broadcaster as well. And it's interesting when you get other people's views who've been sitting out there watching the game about how people are going about their jobs. And really the fundamentals of the game, how you bowl, where you bowl, haven't really changed, have they?
No. They haven't, no. I think the biggest thing, one of the biggest changes I've seen from bowling, Jeff, and you've probably seen it, is one of the biggest changes I've seen is the lack of the ball swinging in the air late. And that I think has a lot to do with people being more chest on than sideways on.
Yeah, it's interesting. In this yesterday, Ponting sent England in, and it was overcast. I mean, this is not my normal weather. I'm used to the Australian weather, but it looked like it should have been a swinging day yesterday. I'm not sure whether it was seam positions. It just
was it humid?
It didn't feel that humid. It was overcast, but it was very interesting weather yesterday. The ball did very little, as Ricky Ponting soon found out.
As it didn't seem to do a lot when it came back from the boundary regular.
No, it had a few scuff marks on it by then.
It would have been a great day's cricket to watch.
Now it's Hoggard is bowling, and Langer's following the ball and hitting it away on the offside out into the deep where there's plenty of protection, and the score moves to 179 for 3. How are you, Fred? Jim Maxwell, nice to
Hello, Jim.
see you
see
again
you. Yeah.
after a number of years.
Yes.
You're looking sharp.
Thank you.
Still on your long run?
I wish I was. I can tell you, enjoy it while you can, because you're a long time retired.
Yeah, well, this is not a bad spot to be on a lovely day at Edgbaston. A big crowd enjoying a tense battle here as England strive for another wicket. Hoggard bowls and Clark drives him down towards mid-off. 3 for 179. Now, Fred, I reckon even in your day, if some of those good players you bowled against had these bats, they'd be more formidable, surely.
I think you're right, yeah. I mean, they miss it for 6, don't they?
Do you reckon they're almost illegal weapons, though?
I would have thought it's time we got a rule in that there'd be a certain weight, I think, and a certain width as well. But this boy Clark, I think he's going to be a good player. I honestly do.
He's looking good again today as Hoggard runs towards him and bowls, and he's leaning forward and he's playing it quietly to the offside. 3 for 179, or 179 for 3 as some prefer it. 54 to Langer and 32 to Clark. Hayden was out for a primary, caught by Strauss at cover. Ponting made 61 before he top-edged a sweep to Vaughan off Giles, and Martin in the last over before lunch. Vaughan ran him out as he was a little slow in moving towards the non-strikers, and maybe he thought Vaughan was going to throw to the strikers' end. Anyway, he flicked it underneath and hit the stumps, and Martin was adjudged run out by a whisker. Hoggard goes into Clark. Clark comes down and pushes the ball away to the offside. I could get Fred on his old chestnut here just before he goes. What do you put the decline in fast bowling almost worldwide, not just in England, down to? They don't swing it anymore?
Swing bowling or fast bowling?
No, just fast bowling, period. I mean, they can't contain anymore.
Well, no, they don't.
McGrath can, but...
Oh, yeah, well, you're talking about a different class.
Yeah.
The thing is that You know, they don't seem to concentrate on one thing. I might be wrong, but
Hoggard's bowling. He's concentrating here near the off stump, and Clark leans forward and pushes it down the pitch. At least with England today, there seems to be some sort of plan about what they're doing, even if there isn't always the execution in the
yeah,
middle.
but look at some of the field placing. What's he doing bowling? There's one deep square in deep mid-wicket.
Yeah, he's worth. I mean, that is a fascinating field placement for a seam. But when you're on top in the game, you've got 400 on the board, and you've got 2 on the leg side, and one of them's on the deep mid-wicket fence. That is a bizarre field placement.
Jeff, I couldn't agree more with it.
It's a 7-2 offside bias in the field. He bowls to Clark, who's forward again and playing away to the offside and to short cover to complete the over. There was just a mid-on and a deep mid-wicket. No one else out there. Anyway, he bowled it near the off stump, and the over conceded just 1 run with Langer 54 and Clark 32.
And I'll just make the point, that's the same field scene they had when Clark played on for 91 at Lord's.
Yeah, there's a big gap, wasn't between mid-on and mid-wicket. He's
Yeah.
just a push in that corner, then it's won every ball.
And first of all, they're assuming Clark hasn't learned his lessons, and the fact that he was a bit unlucky inside edge from well outside off stump,
That's right.
that he'll play the same shot. But to go back to that field, is
Yeah,
just
but
very
Jeff,
strange.
Ashley Giles' field is bad. I mean, slow left-arm bowler. He's got 2 deep mid-wicket and deep squares. I mean, what sort of bowling is this? I mean, look at it down here.
A sort of in-out field. He bowls, and Langer drives and hits it hard to mid-off. He hit that well. Harmison stopped it. He's got a slip under the nose on the off and the onside. A deep point, a mid-on, a square leg, a deep mid-wicket and a deep backward square. 3 men on the boundary.
It's like a sweeper, this cover job, isn't it?
Well, he's going to get at least a single somewhere in a moment, you would think, as Giles bowls, and he's down and he's dragging the drive down towards mid-on, and it's fielded out there by Hoggard. So twice Langer's launched himself at Giles, but hasn't been able to score.
And Langer's been rather patient so far. He hasn't been playing the big shots. He's been pushing it around.
Played a very sensible innings,
Yeah.
Jeff. Very sensible innings.
Giles goes in, down the pitch, it's pushed off, almost back onto the stumps. It comes off a little inside edge, but it doesn't trickle that far because he stops it as he adjusted his stroke at the last moment.
And if you do allow a Langer to get off strike with reasonably easy singles about, you get a right-hander on strike. So he's bowling left and right. And that's what the Australian batsman should be thinking. That makes Giles' job a little bit tougher.
Giles in again at Langer. Langer goes whipping to the onside, and out there it's fielded by Strauss, who rips the return back. Plenty of enthusiasm from England here. They're buoyed by a home crowd, well, mainly home crowd. You can see a few canary colours in the distance. The golden lorikeets, 3 for 179 with Giles bowling from that city end, and Langer does whip him away, not for a single though, because once more Strauss is in the frame just in front of square. So it's a dot ball bowling, I think they describe this as. Trying to keep some pressure on with this curious in-out field. Giles last ball of the over to Langer. Langer miscues, looking to drive. He got an inside edge. A false stroke as the ball rolled away behind square for a single, and Langer moves to 54 and the total to 180. 55, the total 180, and Giles 1 for 31 from 9 overs. Fred Truman, Jeff Lawson and Jim Maxwell with you on TMS.
Well, Giles almost did his job that over. Langer came down the wicket, tried to score off the last ball and just a little inside edge, but you've got to think if Langer and Clark are now having a conversation in the middle of the pitch, if they think this through, and it's not all that difficult, and just try to pick Giles off instead of hitting fours, that they could be consistently successful against him and take very few risks. It's yet to be seen whether they'll do that, but as we said about Langer, he's been patient, he's been disciplined, it's been a good solid innings.
Now Hoggard starts a new over. He bowls a ball that's full and wide, and it's chopped away to deep cover. The man strategically placed out there
For the low, wide, full
for the
toss.
low, wide, full toss, quite obviously.
Obviously, I didn't take that one into consideration.
No, it was Plan Z.
But you know, as you quite rightly said a moment, you've got 400 on the board. You've got to attack somewhere. I mean, Australia's goal at the present moment is 208 to save the follow-on, and then of course it becomes a different attitude. But that is their first and foremost target.
Here's Hoggard bowling, and Clark goes forward across his pad. He plays the ball firmly with a bit of inward movement down towards Jones at mid-on. That was a good-looking stroke too. And Hoggard knows he can't stray too far towards the middle stump, really, because he's going to get put away to the boundary down here.
Well, if he gets on middle and leg, Clark might clip him out there, and there might be a 1 or a 2. But if he gets middle and off, he could get hit straight through mid-wicket. That's a 4 anyway. So the sweeper's not saving too many out of deep mid-wicket.
It's Hoggard to bowl, and Clark driving and not scoring because it's to Vaughan down there at mid-off. So Vaughan seems intent on just trying to stop the game at the moment and wait for the batsman to make a mistake.
That is what his tactic looked like at the present moment. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The bowler's 7 on the offside, hasn't he?
7 on the off, yep.
So he's bowling 7 on the off. Has he got 8 on the off?
7 on the off of the mid-on and deep mid-wicket on the onside. Slip, third man, backward point, deep cover, a cover, short cover, and a mid-off. Hoggard bowls to Clark. Clark comes forward and plays quietly, very efficiently, straight back down the pitch to the bowler. So this has been, in terms of run scoring, the quietest session of the match. 63 runs in 70-odd minutes. Oh, they've almost stopped. They're back to less than 5 and over for the day. Shock horror. But England are bowling, well, a bit of a dry line at Clark at the moment. Hoggard runs in towards him, and he's getting a ball that's right up in the block hole. He chops it into the pitch, and Hoggard was a bit late in getting his hands around it, and it took him on the body and ricocheted away on the offside. So 3 for 181. Have you been out in this crowd somewhere, Fred? Where have you been?
I'm over in a box by the old scoreboard over there. I'm guest there for the day, and some very nice people.
It looks good.
And I'm sat with an Australian who's very quiet at the moment. But he's a nice man.
Well, all of these most nice Australians are quiet.
Well, we'll think about that.
Hoggard's bowling to Clark, and Clark takes it from the pads. Just a single out there to Peterson, who's in that position deep on the onside. So Clark keeps the strike. He's 33, and it's 3 for 182.
So, Fred, do you still get tied up with a bit of coaching at Yorkshire?
No, I don't go anywhere near, no.
Don't go anywhere near?
No. I've only been one day this year, and that was to celebrate, well, not to celebrate, to commemorate one of England's greatest slow left-arm bowlers, Hedley Verity, who would have been 100 years old on May the 5th, and they've opened a plaque in the, I think it's the West Stand, in the East Stand, I think, at Headingley, which is all very nice there now. So it was just to commemorate one of Yorkshire and England's greatest ever slow left-arm bowlers. Anyway, it's been lovely talking to both of you.
Thanks, Fred, for coming up.
To see you, Jim.
An honour.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, lovely to see you, Jim. Yeah, lovely to see you, Jim.
Thank you.
And Bill, of course.
That's Freddie Truman, who's come in here to see us, and because a favourite voice on TMS is Clark plays a handsome drive wide of mid-on out to the boundary for 4, using his feet to Giles, and he moves along to 37, and the score to 186. Beautiful stroke.
Oh, that was a lovely shot. Once again, against the spin, but it's fairly full. We saw Clark play a number of those at Lords in his innings of 91. That he doesn't seem to have too many inhibitions when Giles pitches in or around foot marks. He still goes against the spin, and that was beautifully timed.
Giles over the wicket again to Clark. Clark comes forward and then just changes his stroke and dabs the ball back down the pitch. Don't know whether he got much to work at there outside the leg stump at this stage of the game. Is there enough rough to get any purchase from?
Well, you get more purchase out of there than you will off the wicket anyway. So, I mean, there's a little. As I said this morning, I was surprised how deep the footmarks were.
He bowls now, and Clark drives him hard towards mid-off, and he goes with the shot to Hoggard for a single. And he moves to 38.
I mean, having said that, I was surprised at how deep they were for day one. And as the game wears on, we'll get some solid footmarks there. But for day one, they were just a little deeper than I thought, and very dry underneath as well. And I was chatting with Gladstone Small at the lunch break, and he thinks that this wicket on day 4 and particularly day 5 might be reasonably difficult to bat on, a bit up and down the bounce and certainly some spin.
Giles at Langer. Langer forward and then nurses the ball away on the offside, just pushing it out behind point, moving to 57. But you can see Langer's concerned about those men around the bat. He's trying to get down and push Giles Wade, maybe break the field up a bit, and he was almost undone in the last over when he got an inside edge that went to pad and past the leg stump. So 3 for 188. This partnership now worth 70. They came together after Martin had been run out in the last over before lunch. Giles at Clark. Clark's down and he's driving again. A beautiful looking stroke, but he finds the fieldsman. Can't get past Strauss down there at mid-on. We've got a slip, silly point, cover, a short cover and a mid-off. Short fine leg on the sweep and a deep mid-wicket with a deep backward square. And Peterson's been moved from the short cover to a short mid-off. Just in the hope that he mightn't get to the pitch of it and spear it up towards that spot as he comes forward and plays with his wrists, flicking the ball from the pads down to backward square for 1. Flintoff is there to field and Clark is 39 with Langer on 57. So very efficient, composed batting here. Giles 10 overs, no maidens, 1 for 38.
Not too many dangers being created, and that's, as a captain, that's what you want. We talk about the field placements, and England 400 400, Australia 189, so still 220 odd in front, and yet England playing a fairly defensive game. Now you can play that sort of game if you think the batsman will run out of patience and play the shot that's not on. I'm sure that's their theory against Clark. It worked at Lords when they did have that 7-2 field and Clark played on when he was in the 90s. At Langer today, it's been a study in concentration. He's got the head down. He's just trying to think of one shot that was really out of character and reckless. I just can't think of a shot. It's been very careful batting. And Australia have built their total around him. But he's not taking any risks at all, Langer, really. Clark's the dasher, and he's looked pretty safe as well. They've still got the same field with Hoggard bowling.
Well, maybe Hoggard can get one just in the right spot for him to nick or miss as he bowls near the off stump, and Clark's very decisive in his movement as he comes forward, and he's going through a few rehearsals here. He's either playing or leaving, and Langer comes down just for a bit of eye contact and a reassuring word in between deliveries. They must be a little cool out there. Both of them are wearing sleeveless sweaters with this packed offside field. Sunlight around Edgbaston. A beautiful afternoon, but just a cool breeze about the place. Clark's 39 and Hoggard runs in towards him and bowls, and he's taking it off his pads. That's a beautifully timed and crisp stroke once more. Peterson's in business out there and an easy single. He's 40 and Langer's back on strike here to Hoggard. So the game is just floating a little at the moment. Australia are happy to be playing. They've got themselves set, and the bowling's thereabouts, but doesn't look particularly creative.
Jim, I think you summed it up when you said Australia are happy, because there's not a lot of pressure being put on them. Defensive fields. Defensive doesn't mean it's totally spread out. It just means they're not really bowling at the stumps a great deal and getting the LBWs of bowls into play.
Hoggard to Langer. Langer drives and misses. That was loose outside the off stump. He had a waft at that ball that was pitched up and going away from him. And Langer goes for a prod again, just reinforcing some concentration, which may have just lapsed for a moment.
Well, just as we wrapped him up.
Yes.
Now, I can remember a reckless shot because that wasn't a half volley. I mean, that was wide and almost a good length. That's a tough ball to drive.
So the dot ball draining exercise. Dry the man up. Hoggard bowls. That's wide, and he ignores it as it goes through here. We've got the 7-2. Yeah, they've just swapped the field over for Langer. 7-2 offside for him as well.
But easier for Hoggard to bowl to that. He could pitch middle and still bowl this field because the angle will keep taking it across. And it looks like there's just a bit of reverse swing as well. And the breeze has been strengthening out of the west, and the flags are almost horizontal at the moment. So that'll be helping push the ball across the left-hander. But it might be a bit of reverse swing as well, which Hoggard does get.
Hoggard once more to Langer, and Langer drives and drives through the covers for 4. A luscious stroke. That ball was a little bit closer than the one he'd missed earlier on in the over, and he spanked it between mid-off and cover away towards that corner of the ground, down at deep extra cover. 3 for 194, and Langer is 61.
Page 112 of the batting textbook. Look up cover drive, you'll see a picture of that shot. I mean, that was gorgeous, wasn't it? It was timed and placed and powered as well. Demoralising to bowlers, those sorts of strokes.
It's Hoggard once more. He goes into Langer. Langer gets a wideish delivery, and it keeps moving away after pitching outside the off stump. So another over goes by, and Australia almost past that follow-on mark that some may have had in mind. And Australia now 3 for 194, chasing 407. Here's Jeff Lawson, and then Jonathan Agnew going to come in.
Thank you, Jimmy. 194 for 3. Just 44 overs gone. We've still got 46 overs left today. There's plenty of cricket to be played here. And, gee, you never know. As Agger settles in, we might have another 400. 46 overs to go at 5 and over, 230. That's 420.
It's
mate.
possible. It is possible. It's a lovely afternoon, though. Look at it now. It's so different from that grey, dismal, dank start of this morning. The sun's shining.
Actually, 6 a.m. on the first tee. It was miserable.
Oh, you were playing golf this morning?
With James Maxwell, my partner.
You wondered?
Well, yeah, I mean, the hosts were very hospitable.
Were they?
Yeah, the Edgbaston Golf Club lads. Thank you for the game, but plenty of long gimmies.
Now here's Giles, and Clark's hit on the pad. That runs away to short point. There's Silly Point where Balefield. I hear a bugler somewhere in our midst, over there in the Hollies stand, giving us a rendition, a rather drunken rendition of Jerusalem, I think it was, but it was appreciated there by all the supporters on that side of the ground, bathed in sunshine. In comes Giles, fired through flat. They're pretty for caught behind. He's out. Ashley Giles takes his second wicket, and he's delighted again. He's hugging everybody. Clark is out, swishing his bat in disappointment as he walks away, ripping off his gloves. And Ashley Giles has taken his second wicket of the day. And Australia are 194 for 4, with Michael Clark, who have been playing so well, just nibbling outside the off stump, the faintest of edges. He was taken by Geraint Jones, and he's out for 40. 194 for 4.
And it must be a good piece of bowling. That was the arm ball. It wasn't thrown up. It did Clark for flight. He was playing back early and got caught playing back when he should have been forward, and tried to react to the length, and he managed to find edge. And that's in many ways a classic left arm orthodox bowler's dismissal. It wasn't his turning one with the outside edge, it was the arm ball which did Clark in flight. And he almost did him before the drinks break, where he went to cut one and Trescothick ducked it first slip, and it was a similar sort of delivery, this time Clark defending and out for 40. And Ashley Giles, they can afford to celebrate that one, because it's a big wicket in the context of the game, but it was also a very much deserved wicket.
So Ashley Giles has taken 2 for 38 in his 11th over here, and well, he's thrilled. He really is. He put pressure on himself. I was going to say he came into the game under pressure. I think he did most of that, but he's really delighted to take that second wicket. 194 for 4. Jeff Lawson's going away to meet one of his compatriots, who has a rather more pressurised job than most of us. Mark Webber. He drives cars rather fast, doesn't he? I think Jeff is very keen to see the Australian Formula One driver. 14 required to save the follow-on. Thank you, Bill. Delivered on a very nice bright green note. And Simon Katic is going to face his first ball from Ashley Giles. The field is being set now. There'll certainly be 2 men around the bat. There's going to be 3, in fact. And Flintoff is there at short mid-wicket. And Pratt's back on the field again at mid-wicket. 194 for 4.
He came on a couple of overs ago.
Excellent. And in comes Giles, and he bowls to Katic outside the off stump. There's no stroke from the left-hander, and it's taken there by Jones. So Ashley Giles, he was absolutely thrilled again to take that second wicket. It was a quicker, flatter ball, and it was really arrowed in, and Clark tried to run it away towards third man. Give him credit, he walked as well. We make the point, particularly of Australians, when they do that. Here's Giles, and that's sliced away to backward point by Katic, looking for his first run. It's not to be had, though. Harmison's there, and there's no run. 194 for 4. And, well, it's intriguingly placed. It really is now, this game. If England can get another couple of wickets, they might well get the lead that they're after. Here's Katic, and that bounces away into the offside. And Harmison is the fielder, trotting in there at backward point. And Giles looks a different man. He's got his sunglasses on, he's walking busily back to his mark, he's wrapping his fingers around the ball, giving it a final polish. A final spin of the ball from left hand to right, then back to left again. He comes up and bowls, and Katic comes forward to ball on the off stump. He's picked up there at the silly point by Strauss. It's a wicket maiden. And, well, everyone from King Arthur's knights who are there in the Hollies stand to the nuns that are there to the members below us applaud Ashley Giles. He's a real favourite here at Edgbaston. And he's taken 2 wickets today, 2 for 38 from 11 overs, 1 maiden. And Australia, well, some way behind. England's 407, that's for sure. They're 194 for 4. There's another ovation for Ashley as he takes up his position down on the boundary at third man, with the scoreboard behind him. Mike Selby's back, probably with his mouth full of the remnants of my chocolates.
Oh, you are unkind. You're also particularly precious about it as well.
Good to see Fred Truman, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's fantastic. Isn't he? Didn't change much, does he, Fred?
No.
Did he know what was going off or not?
I'm not sure we did establish what was going on out there or not, but it was great to hear.
I bet he wouldn't have known what was going off yesterday.
No, he didn't.
It's a few rubbing candles, it seemed like. But
well, the wind's got up. In fact, Rudy Kurtzen has lost his hat, and a bail's fallen off. A sudden gust has blown across Edgbaston. I don't think we're into lignum vitae territory with the heavy bales, but Rudy Kurtzen's got his hat back on, and Flintoff is going to bowl round the wicket to Justin Langer, who's been out there now for nearly 3.5 hours. He's made 61, so a very patient, committed innings. This is taking some blows along the way. And now Flintoff is going to come on. It's his second spell since lunch, but he only had 1 over after the break. In fact, just
one ball.
And so it's his first proper spell, if you like, since that spell before lunch. In he goes. He's there. He bowls to Langer, who, very nearly caught it slip. It was steered rather than edged to a wide slip. It's Strauss who's more at third slip than second. And it was as if Langer was trying to run that to third man rather than finding the edge. It slid off the face of the bat and bounced comfortably in front of Strauss, but it wouldn't have been a very clever way to have got out under the circumstances.
I think he needs to dig in a little bit here. I know he's been digging in all day, but to get through to tea, because I think his concentration is just going a little bit just in Langer.
In goes Flintoff, and he bowls Timmy drives, and that's gone over Pratt's head there at backward point and away to the boundary. I think it was driven hard into the ground. It was a bit hard to tell, but it was a rather flowery stroke, which emphasises what Mike Selby was saying there. He reached outside the off stump, and Pratt was interested there for a moment as he leapt up one-handed. It was too high for him to pull down, and so 1 run taken. 195 for 4 with 62 to Langer, and Katic will be facing his first ball from Flintoff shortly, but not before Michael Vaughan has finished fiddling around with the field here. 2 slips and a gully. Giles coming up from the third man boundary to take that position. There are 3 men inside a sort of a one-day circle, if you like, on the offside there, saving the single. They're walking in. Flintoff's on his way down the leg side. Jones takes it well, tumbling over and over, and nothing is done. 195 for 4, and the crowd know that this really is a key phase in this match now. Can England get another couple of wickets and establish a lead here? That's what they'll be desperately trying to do. Or can Australia, as they've done so often before, not merely dig themselves out of a bit of a hole, but take the game by the scruff of the neck? This is outside the off stump. Katic thinks about playing at it, but then withdraws the bat at the last moment.
This is not an unfamiliar position for them in recent Test matches. 200 to 4, 5, 190 for 6 they've been, and then the fellow out there actually, and the fellow who's coming in next have been the ones who've actually dug them out. It's a good move putting Andy Flintoff. He bowls well to left-handers. He'll have 3 left-handers on the bounce now: Langer, Kadich and Adam Gilchrist.
Flintoff outside the off stump, just shaping to come back at him this time. But Kadich again lets that go through. 195 for 4. Clark's 40 came from 68 balls. He hit 7 4s, and he and Langer put on 76 together for the 4th wicket. Now, having made that observation in my last stint that I hadn't seen anyone with a bat rubber that was white before, I see that now Kadich has come out with a white one as well. So maybe it's some sort of Australian trend to have these white bat rubbers. Kadich waits. Flintoff rushes in, bowls close to the stumps. Kadich comes forward, and that's played away to Peterson there, who bristles rather as he picks the ball up, aims to throw the ball at the stumps, which he again decides not to at the last moment, and Flintoff's over comes to an end. 195 for 4 with 62 to Langer, who's got his helmet off and wandering down there to chat to Kadich, who's yet to score. The men out today: Hayden for 0, first ball, and I make the point again, although Bill still isn't interested, this is first.
I haven't had a chance to check it.
First
I
golden
don't just
duck.
accept these things.
Well, I have my sources.
I was told last night that Flintoff had equalled the Ashes record by hitting 5 6s in innings, and he hadn't. It was both and hit 6 at Old Trafford.
Well, I know you're a fastidious old so-and-so. We admire you for it, but I think I can say with some authority, because I read it on the television screen.
You asked him, did you?
No, I saw it on the television screen. That was his first golden duck. Ponting 61, Martin 20, and Clark for 40. The men dismissed, with Hoggard taking 1 wicket, Giles a couple, and of course there was that run out of Martin on the stroke of lunch by Michael Vaughan. So Giles it is who comes in and bowls down the leg side, and Jones has those bails off in a flash. A groan from the crowd, but Langer hasn't gone anywhere. He fell over in the crease, but he didn't leave it. And Geraint Jones repairs the damage. Umpire Kurtzen says thank you, nodding the head there as he wandered in from square leg. But just looking at the replay there, no, Langer's foot remained on the ground. That's what it has to do. In comes Giles and bowls to him again. Langer forward this time, and Giles doesn't merely walk down the pitch to pick it up. He actually comes trotting down. I think that rather sums up Ashley's demeanour now. He's a happy chappy. 195 for 4. England made 407. And Giles wheels round, he's there, and he bowls now flatter one. He's worked away by Langer off his pads. There's Pratt, almost colliding with umpire Kurtzen at square leg. And there's no run. So we establish, who is it? Hoggard was off the field. Again, Bill, he was off for a little while beforehand, wasn't he? I can't see the Hogster. 195 for 4. Giles over the wicket. Bowls to Langer. Oh, there's a loose shot, and he's going to get runs for it. He very nearly hit the helmet, actually. He nearly got 5 for that. But if that's byes, it's come a very long way. But more likely off the inside edge, or possibly a leg bye. And we get Billy Bowden's very delicate stroke of the inner thigh there towards the scorers to indicate that did turn. It came out of the rough. Maybe just brushed Langer's pad, but it wasn't too far away from coming right back and bowling him, actually.
I think he's bowling exceptionally well now. He's got. Actually, I think he's using the breeze nicely too. I think that's helping him.
He looks a different man, doesn't he? As far as his demeanour is concerned. 199 for 4. In comes Giles, and Langer again deceived here, driving, but the ball's gone nowhere. It's been dribbles up the pitch. Giles picks it up. And it's been a real battle for Langer. He's just been fighting away all day from when he was hit on the head in the first over by Steve Harmison. He was hit in the solar plexus, completely winded. Here's Giles bowling to him again, then he flicks it away for Australia's 200. Jones or Field coming in from deep square leg, and the crowd in true sporting manner applaud that milestone for Australia. They're 207 behind at 200 for 4. So you have to say England's still here in the better position of the two teams. Can they take advantage of it?
Well, I still don't think they quite took advantage of the bat yesterday. They could have done. Conversation with Gucci. Gucci was in quite bristly mood last night.
He was
a little bit on the subject of this. I said, well, you know, it was great fun and all the rest of it, but I actually think somebody should have cracked on a bit, and they maybe should have been looking for 5. Oh, you're a hard taskmaster, he said. I'd be well happy with that.
Did he?
But yeah. So
I'd have thought Gucci might be one of those who said that they'd rather have wasted an opportunity.
No, he said I'd have taken that at the start of play. I said, well, I'd have taken the start of play, but would you have taken it at lunchtime?
Yes.
160 for 1.
Langer's on strike, Flintoff bowls outside the off stump, and there's no stroke. What I find about Gucci in the evening is that he'll bristle briefly until he's had a couple of glasses of red wine, then fall asleep. He's one of those whose head just suddenly goes bang onto the dinner table in front of him, and that's it. He just carry him off to bed.
Yeah, he doesn't bristle much when he's asleep, does he?
No. But you've got to get him early of an evening.
I still think that England will regret not getting, making a better fist after the start they got.
There's Flintoff bowling wide outside Langer's off stump, and there's no stroke required, none offered. 200 for 4. It's rare to hear the Barmy Army singing here in the UK. Very much an overseas tour, and we're going to be treated, if that's the right word, to possibly the full rendition of Barmy Army. If they do, it lasts a long time. 200 for 4. In goes Flintoff, and he bowls outside the off stump. It's run away by Langer down to third man. They'll take 1. Giles is down there in front of the scoreboard, and despite a rather wild return, only 1 run is taken. 201 for 4.
It's not a ditty that requires much rehearsal, is it?
Well, many of their songs don't, actually. The Michael Vaughan song has got 2 words in it. Michael Vaughan. And, there are 1 or 2 amusing ones. But in fact, I think they've been silenced there by the steward. In fact, we now know what the green-jacketed stewards are. They're leading away the main man of the Barmy Army, who is there trying to lead the chance. In goes Flintoff, outside the off stump. No stroke from Katic. And off he goes. I thought they were on mainly anti-streaking duty, those green ones, but obviously streaking, leading the Barmy Army, anything in that sort of category, and they take them away.
That's quite odd, isn't it? Can't be because he's dressed in fancy dress. Could only be because he's not dressed in fancy dress, I think.
Yes, I forgot his name.
The one reason you don't see the Barmies too much is because you can't buy blocks of seats.
No. And they're not the vast concrete stadia here, are they, where, particularly overseas, they can go in what is hopefully a quiet corner at the other end of the ground, and on they go. In goes Flintoff outside the off stump. I'm not sniffy about the Barmy Army. They spend a lot of money, many of them, to come and support England overseas, but the chanting, as I experienced in Johannesburg in particular on the last tour at the Wanderers, when they were right underneath my position. I think you did come to show some solidarity for a while, didn't you, which is kind of yourself, but it was after half an hour of Barmy Army at full voice. I must admit it was a little wearing.
If you can't buy blocks of seats, how have Merv's millions got up there?
Well, it's a very sound point. You obviously can hear, that's why you got the Barmies.
In goes Flintoff. Katic raises his bat, then clips that away into the onside. Still looking for his first run, but it's not there. Pratt backs up the throw in the covers. It was Vaughan there throwing at the stumps,
and it was a no ball.
Well spotted Bill. 202 for 4. Langer 64. Katic yet to score. And how's Matthew Hoggard, I wonder? We ought to send maybe Shilpa down to go and find out. There's very tight security around here at Edgbaston. It's not easy to get to the dressing rooms, but if he's been on and off a bit all day, and perhaps there's something wrong with him. 202 for 4. Flintoff bowls outside Katic's off stump, and there's no stroke off the last ball of that over. We're 20 minutes away from the tea break, so a key little passage of play coming up. Can England break through, or can indeed Australia consolidate this position? 202 for 4 with 64 to Langer, who's been batting all day. Nothing yet to Katic. More from Mike Selvey, and then up to the break it will be Henry Blofeld.
Andy Flintoff is a very good bowler now to left-handers from round the wicket. The master of the art is Glenn McGrath. None finer than him for around the wicket. Just manages to not provide left-handers with the room that they like, and can also just fade the ball away from them. Bit of reverse swing.
Giles bowls, and Langer comes forward, plays that down to short extra cover. Michael Vaughan picks up and flicks back that. Oh my goodness me, look at that. Umpire Rick Cousins' hat has blown off, and he's gone running after it, stamped his foot on it so hard, I think he's probably crushed the hat completely. No, it's all right, it's back on his head. But that was a good bit of fun. And Giles it is again now, walking in, not quite so predatorily as Vaughan. Bowls now, and Langer goes back, squirts that one away, behind square on the offside. They go for one. Harmison comes in, picks up one-handed, something that is rather a liability with Harmison. When he picks up one-handed, he doesn't always pick it up, and that was, I think, the worst throw of the century. It was exactly bisected the wicket, and so Langer has got one. He's 65, and it's 203 for 4. Ashley Giles has got a couple of wickets. Jones, what am I trying to say? He got Clark out this afternoon for 40, a few minutes ago, caught behind. Giles is in, bowls, and that's cut away there by Katic, and it's gone down to third man for 4, and he is off the mark. It was a little bit short, a little bit wide. Katic dropped his wrists on it, hit it away well, fine of Harmison, and so he's off the mark with a very nice 4. It'll make him feel all the better for that. Lovely sunny afternoon, just a few sort of cotton woolly clouds, grey cotton wool it is. As Giles is in now, he bowls, and Katic this time just shoulders arms, lets the ball hit him on the pad, and it ricochets away to Trescothick's left at slip. We got 3 men round the bat, well 4 men really, a slip, silly point, forward short leg, and then a short mid wicket, and that's Peterson. And here comes Giles in his dark glasses, bowls, and forward comes Katic, just playing it gently there to silly point, and there is no run. 207 for 4. Giles turns. In he comes now, walking. It's quite quick, brisk manner, and then bowls outside the off stump. No stroke there from Katic. Through it goes to Jones. It is the end of the over. 207 for 4, 65 to Langer, and 4 to Katic. And Mike, I just had a very interesting question put to me by Peter Windsor, who's one of the big men in Formula One. He said to me, why is it that bowlers and fielders wear dark glasses, but batsmen never do?
I'm not sure it's true they never do, because I
Jack Russell did.
I think Gordon Greenwich did too for a while, but you're right. You're right, and it is a conundrum, isn't it? I've often wondered that if it's so much better to see the ball, if it's light enhancing and all the rest of it, then surely as a batter you'd want it. If it's not, then why do you wear them? If it's an encumbrance, then why do you wear them? But and it's not been explained to me satisfactorily.
Well, it's Flintoff now, round the wicket to Langer. He's up to the wicket, now he bowls. Langer just plays it from the crease, pushing out square on the offside. Peterson comes racing in from cover, picks up, almost shies at the stumps at the bowler's ends, but desists in the end. And of course, then there are the dark glasses, which are worn for ornamental, or dare I say it, advertising purposes.
Keep your hat on,
on the top of their hats.
Yes. I mean, the fact that Jack actually wore them is no great recommendation, because it was almost certainly just balmy. So
yes. And it's Flintoff once more. This rather mincing tread of his at the start of his run. In now, bowls, and that's played by Langer, steered away just behind square on the offside. And they run for a single. It was a fine piece of fielding by Peterson, going back from cover, fine from cover. And he shied at the stumps, just missed them, and I dare say if he'd hit, it might have been a question for the third umpire. He picked up on the bounce, threw off balance, and had he hit, it would have been a very, very close one indeed. It might almost have been too close to call.
Top piece of fielding in there, wasn't it?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I think he might, well, nip and tuck that would have been. Inches. Millimetres.
I know. Batsman went sliding through old Katic.
Hypothetical anyway.
It is indeed, rather like Well, not like Ponting this morning, so he would have been out by a yard. It's Flintoff again into Cattage. Cattage is forward, playing this out into the covers, and Bell fields quickly and returns to Jones, and there is no run. We've now not only got Peter Windsor from Formula One in the box, we've also got a very distinguished driver, Mark Webber, who drives for Williams, and it's interesting. We don't often have visitations from Formula One in the TMS box, and it's lovely, I think, that all sports do get together, don't you?
Absolutely.
Because, in fact, talking to them, there's so much in common. You know, top cricketers, top racing drivers, mind games and all that. I think it's tremendously interesting. Flintoff, he now back over the wicket to Cattage Bowles, and he's caught behind. He's caught behind. Flintoff went back over the wicket, and Cattage came forward, got the edge. Jones rolled across in front of Trescothick, took the catch, and Australia have lost their 5th wicket, 208 for 5. And my goodness me, with the tea interval coming up, England really wanted that.
Excellent bowling again, you know, just saying how good a bowler Andy Flintoff was to left-handers from around the wicket, because he, like Glenn McGrath, can just shape the ball away. He's bowled round the wicket to him, then he's gone back over the wicket, changed the angle. That's the important thing. Changed the angle, slanted the ball across him, Caddish nibbled, and that's a real big wicket for England. That leaves Andy Flintoff still bowling, still fresh. Adam Gilchrist coming in now. Andy Flintoff is the fellow who's actually bowled well at Adam Gilchrist thus far in this summer, and now is this could actually be the key phase, the key passage of this Test match. If England can get Adam Gilchrist out now, they'll say, right, we're through them. We've job's not done, but we've got rid of their talismanic batsman, their troubleshooter.
Well, Gilchrist, of course, how many did he make in this? He made a big score on this ground 4 years.
150 odd, wasn't it?
It was 150 odd. He absolutely murdered the England bowling.
He hit 5-6.
Did he? Thank you, Bill. And well, he's going down to the striker's end, another left-hander, and Australia have plenty of them. Taking guard, and goodness me, he is a danger man. Coming in first in one-day cricket, coming in number 7 in Test cricket. I wonder if there's ever been a better number 7 in Test cricket, in fact.
Never.
Bill wants to say something.
Well, Gilchrist made 152 off 143 balls with 5 6s and 24s.
Well, there's a statistic.
That was here 4 years ago.
Speaks volumes.
Got his 100. Do you remember with a little nudge over the top of the keeper?
He did, didn't he?
Little
yes.
uppercut.
Anyway, Flintoff is going to attack him. We've got now 3 slips, first, second and a fourth slip, gully, third man, backward point, extra cover, mid-on and deep backward square leg. And here's Flintoff in, bowls to Gilchrist. Oh, and Gilchrist looked as though he was going to play that, and at the very last moment he got out of the way. But goodness me, Flintoff realises the importance of the moment. You can see from 91 mph, it looked a quick one, and goodness me, the excitement's on now. What fun it is to be here. And we're just looking at Jones taking that catch again. Jones misses an awful lot. An awful lot comes out of his gloves. But you know, normally when it hits the edge, it somehow sticks, doesn't it? And he had to go quite far across to his left then. Flintoff again, in, bowls to Gilchrist. Gilchrist drives. Oh, that's gone away for 4. Well, that is classic Gilchrist. Oh, my goodness me. It was not a full half volley. He hit through the line of it, cracked it away between extra cover and the bowler. Jones had no chance whatever, and so Gilchrist off the mark, high, wide and handsome. He's got 4. Langer has 66, and at the end of that over, 212 for 5, and Flintoff 9 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 28.
Well, Adam Gilchrist is probably the best counter puncher the game's seen, isn't it? This is the situation that he's found himself in quite a few occasions for Australia recently. Their top order has failed to flourish against New Zealand last winter in New Zealand. 3 times they were in trouble in the first innings, and he and Cattage bailed them out. Lord, similarly, he didn't manage to do that. Andy Flintoff managed to get him out there. But they're finding themselves in this situation, Australia, and they're now relying very heavily on Gilchrist.
And here is Giles in bowling to Langer. Langer's drives, gets an edge, and it's going away towards the third man boundary. I think it's going to go there because there's no one down there that isn't. Trescothick goes back to fetch it from slip. And so 70 to Langer. That was a lucky one. And it's 216 for 5 now. And England will be doing everything they can. Langer's wicket wouldn't be a bad one either.
That'd be handy. Well, either. Settle for either.
Settle for either. Yes, I think England would certainly do that.
Settle for both. How about that?
Well, settle for both. I think they'd settle for either before tea and both soon afterwards.
Not a bit greedy.
And Giles bowling in his dark glasses. White dark glasses, white frames, in, he bowls, and Langer comes towards it on the pad. He's suddenly begun to play Giles with just an element of doubt, a little bit of anxiety creeping into it. We've got a slip and a short forward, square short leg, just in front of square, in fact, not blocking the square leg umpire's view. And here's Giles again, in past umpire Bowden, bowls, Langer's forward, running that a yard or two out in the offside, Trescothick from slip goes after it, and again there is no run. 216 for 5 then is the Australian score. This in reply to England's 407, so they haven't got to worry about the follow-on. That's all been saved and done and dusted and all that. And Giles it is, in again, over the wicket, there, bowls there to Langer, comes forward, and Bell dives to his left at short leg, stops the ball. He wouldn't have been a run had he got away, because Flintoff's behind him at square leg, but nonetheless, it was a good, quick piece of fielding. And Giles back to the end of his mark, licks his fingers, throws the ball from hand to hand, walks in briskly, now a gentle trot, an amiable trot, bowls, Langer stretches forward, it's taken on the pad, and Bell treads delicately across the pitch, picks up and returns to Giles. Really, this is gripping cricket, and this match hasn't died down from the very first ball. It's kept at an enormous level of high tension. And now Michael Vaughan's putting the pressure on Langer. He's realised that Langer's not playing with some of the authority he showed earlier against Giles. He's brought himself into silly points. We've got a slip silly point and a forward short leg. And Giles is in, up to the wicket now, and he bowls, and Langer comes forward and drives, doesn't time it at all, and Giles goes across, galloping across, and it's the end of the over, 216 for 5, 70 to Langer, who just began in that over to show signs of fallibility, and 4 to Gilchrist.
I must say, I'm surprised that Michael Vaughan had taken away that silly point in the first place. He had been crowding Langer and putting the pressure on him, and Giles is bowling well enough to have the men round the bat at the moment. Using the breeze cleverly, he's got the pace right.
14 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 48. He's done a fine job, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, it's Gilchrist in strike. 2 first, second and fifth slip and a gully. They go down. Flintoff's in, round the wicket, bowls there to Gilchrist, who almost plays that into his stumps, and it goes away on the leg side about 5 or 6 yards. Wicketkeeper Jones goes after it, and they collect a single. That was quite an anxious single. So 5 now to Gilchrist. It's 217 for 5. And looking around the ground, you see the stewards in their green and yellow day-glow jackets, and just an occasional one in a sort of bright orange day-glow jacket. Do you think that they're the sergeant majors, do you think, in the orange day-glows? And the other ones are the ordinary troops in the trenches. I don't know how it goes, whether there's a seniority among ground staff, among...
Well, it ran out of yellow jackets.
Well, there, Bill, you always come up with the right answer. I'm sure you're right there, but I think it's interesting. Someone, no doubt, will tell us. And Flintoff now bowling over the wicket to Langer. He's in, he bowls. Langer goes back with a bit of a hop, skip and a jump. Plays that one round the corner down to Harmison at fine leg. And they jog through for a single. So 71 now to Langer. It's 218 for 5. And Gilchrist is back in strike. And this is where the interest lies.
The key to this, Henry, is Flintoff round the wicket to Gilchrist, denies him, was trying to deny him the room that Gilchrist likes to swing his arms through the ball. He just throws the bat at the ball. The ball's coming in at him all the time. It just restricts him that little bit.
Well, Flintoff having a long-range word with Simon Jones, who's fielding at mid-off, and Gilchrist looks round the field. And here comes Flintoff, fairly racing in up to the wicket, round the wicket, he's in, he bowls, and Gilchrist nibbles at that. Oh my goodness me, I thought for a moment there was going to be an appeal. Jones took it up by his left shoulder, and Gilchrist looked rather guilty, which for him was slightly surprising. Flintoff looked exuberant, but in fact Willow and Leather did not make contact, and so another dot went into the scorebook. But that was a good run.
Yeah, but he's cranking it up, Andy Flintoff, isn't he?
Yes.
He really is. He's a real competitor. You know, he knows that this is key. This is the big effort from him now could bring huge rewards for England.
And it's Flintoff again now, racing in up to the wicket, in to bowl to Gilchrist. He's there, he bowls. Gilchrist comes onto the front foot and drives, but doesn't time that one at all. And nothing is done. 218 for 5. Flintoff fielded that one, walking back quickly like a man who can't wait to get on with the job. He can't wait to get at Gilchrist. Gilchrist stands there, calm and reasonably collected, bat with a pink rubber handle, tapping it against his back toe. There's quite a breeze. Flintoff's shirt is waving in the breeze. He's up to the wicket now. He's there, he bowls, and forward comes Gilchrist, drives it down to Jones at mid-off, who misfields but recovers as though he's been struck by a bolt of lightning, picks the ball up, aims as if to throw at the stumps at the bowler's end, desists because there's no earthly point. Langer is safely anchored. But the tension is tremendous. You can feel it in the air now. I think everyone on the ground senses that what they're watching the outcome of the match could depend upon it. And Flintoff it is, starts in again. A straight run, he's up to the wicket, he's there, he bowls to Gilchrist, and Gilchrist comes on the front foot, just pushes down to mid-on, and it is Michael Vaughan who fields. And he played that with quite good timing, Gilchrist. Vaughan had to go across quite nippily. It's 218 for 5 at the end of the over, 71 to Langer, 5 to Gilchrist, and a rather beautiful lady walks down the bottom of the stand on our left, is reading a postcard out to all the troops. That maybe someone's won something. Don't know what that is.
No idea. Lottery tickets. I don't know. She's selling something probably.
She's either selling sort of benefit vouchers or I don't know what it is. But anyway, it's good sales pitches going on. But Flintoff, a splendid over by him, and what a good situation this is for spectators. Giles starting a new over now to the left-handed Langer. He's in, he bowls, Langer comes forward, and that ball just runs back to Trescothick at slip. Trescothick, whose white fingers of his left hand, as always, his little fingers are wrapped in a sort of white bandage. It always seems to be there, year in, year out. I don't know what the reason is. Mid-off now goes a bit back, a bit deeper, in fact almost all the way to the boundary. And Flintoff, that is. Giles, no, umpire Bowden's holding out his hand, but everything's all ready now. Langer's attending, Giles is in, bowls to him, Langer's down the wicket, and is going to get a single. He plays this, drives it back just to the onside of the stumps, and it's fielded down there at long on by Hoggard, and they take a single. So Langer goes to 72, and it's 219 for 5. And now Gilchrist takes guard, and still the same attacking field. In fact, Harmison's coming in from deep backward point to backward point, saving the one. We've got the slip, the silly point, and the forward short leg. 2 men on the leg side boundary, a deep backward square and a deep mid wicket. Langer looks round. He won't be nervous. He's a fairly nerveless character. He understands this sort of situation. Giles is in, bowls to him, and he comes forward to drive. Times it quite nicely, but no great power. Straight to Flintoff there at mid-off. And Flintoff returns to Jones. And then back the ball goes to Giles. Giles turns. And in he comes. Up to the wicket now, he bowls, and Gilchrist forward, pushing it back down the wicket to Giles. It bounces nicely for the bowler. Trescothick at slipped, Strauss at silly point, Bell at forward short leg. They are the three predators, the three men that Gilchrist will want to get rid of as soon as he possibly can. And Giles it is again, just stumbling slightly at the start of his run-in. Up to the wicket now, he bowls, and Gilchrist plays this away, and he hits Bell at short leg, bounces a few yards away from him, and Jones goes quickly after it with his gloves on, picks the ball up, and they don't have the chance for a single. That one actually hits Bell rather than Bell, I think, making a conscious effort to stop it. And Gilchrist now over his bat. Giles is in again, up to the stumps. He's there now, he bowls. Gilchrist is forward, just running this very gently to Harmison at backward point. It's the end of another fascinating over. It's the end of another fascinating session, because the players turn to the pavilion. It's a cup of tea time now, and well, there will be special cheers for Justin Langer. He really has been the glue that's held this Australian innings together. He's 72, Gilchrist is 5, it's 219 for 5 in reply to England's 407. But I don't think no praise is too high for Langer.
No, in a funny sort of way, he's actually played the sort of innings that's demanded by the pitch. That may seem odd given the pyrotechnics that we've had over the past day and a half. But he really is an old-fashioned innings, old-fashioned virtues he's got. His stickability, it is to the crease. He's playing balls on their merits. He's very few mistakes. He's been beaten a couple of times. He had a couple of little flirts with outside off stump, a couple of edges. Played and missed Ashley Giles, but by and large, it's been a very fine example of old-fashioned batsmanship. Now, what he's got at the other end, of course, is the extreme, hasn't he? He's got Adam Gilchrist at the other end, and what we're going to see after tea is whether Adam Gilchrist is going to try and take the game away from England with his own very combustible batting. He can take the game away in a session. He can change a game in a session, can't he?
Well, of course he can, and it's a thrilling prospect, isn't it?
Absolutely it is, and particularly it'll be interesting to see whether he takes Ashley Giles, because Ashley Giles is bowling extremely well. He's right in the groove now. He's got those 2 wickets. That'll boost him immensely. He's bowling very, very nicely, and it'll be, say, down to Adam Gilchrist to see whether or not he decides to try and take Ashley Giles on and to hit him out of the attack effectively.
Well, what an interesting session it's been. At lunch, Australia were 118 for 3, 289 behind. 2 hours later at tea, they're 219 for 5, 101 runs coming for the loss of 2 wickets. I think it's probably just a little bit in England's favour. They lead by a nose, if not half a head at this stage. But so much depends, as Mike was saying, on the wicket or the performance of Gilchrist after tea. And of course, if Langer was to go, well, then it would put Gilchrist under a little more pressure. Hayden was out for naught first ball. Ponting went for 61. Martin for 20. Clark for 40. Katic for 4. The wicket takers, Hoggard 1 for 41. Flintoff 1 for 30. And Giles, dear old Gilo, 2 for 49.